discussing about strengths and weaknesses, okay? So in most interviews these days, if there's a seasoned recruiter over there, or depending for the job that you're applying, one of the popular questions that you're gonna get is, could you tell us more about your strengths and weaknesses? Okay? And I know that everybody has been through the experience in which they had a very hard time in finding weaknesses about them. But guess what? They're out there. You shouldn't be ashamed of them and not necessarily see them exactly as weaknesses, okay? You can see them as things that you're still struggling with or currently perfecting, or others with which people working with or under you or above you have a certain challenge in dealing with. Okay, so there's nothing to be ashamed. I think vocalizing them and I think talking about what you like and don't like is really important from the beginning. Now, another important thing that I see is when I try to present my strengths, I also try to intertwine this with the idea of what makes me stand out from other candidates. Okay, so what makes me more special in terms of these strengths than other candidates? So I hear a lot of people giving standard answers like the ability to cope under stress, the ability to have a lot of workload done in a quick time. Okay, but you need to be a bit more granular and you need to personalize those answers, because those are the answers that a recruiter hears on a daily basis. Those are the answers that you can find on any Google search. Those are even the answers that ChatGPT will give you. So what makes you stand out? That's how you have to consider your strengths, okay? So I would start with the first one. When I focus on strengths, I try to stop at 4 or 5 and also match this number in terms of weaknesses, so it doesn't look like I'm focusing more on the strengths than the weaknesses. So what makes me stand out and I also consider as a strength, number one would be the ability to foresee problems and build contingency plans, okay? And this comes from experience, and I saw it's extremely important for the people that work under me to be able to come towards me and ask for solutions when things go south or the tsunami hits, okay? And they feel protected and they feel empowered to deal with these crises, okay? Second one would be versatility via gravitas. What do I mean by this? I've been through several industries now and I had several roles, okay? And I didn't know those industries. I didn't know how to start eating that dish that was put in front of me. But by rolling your sleeves, working hard, asking questions, studying, doing experiments, learning from the pitfalls and the pain points, you can actually develop and become a much more complex person, and that way you can rise with the challenge. Number 3 would be a combination of the skills that I currently possess. So I consider to have a BizOps savviness combined with a strong suit in numbers, and also the ability to mingle in any social circle, whether we're talking about dealing with executive committees or just going down to customer support level or sales level. I am able to adjust my dialogue to any of these audiences, and at the same time exercise a strong feeling of empathy towards their problems. And this is really important, guys, because their problems are the biggest in the world, and if you can solve them, then you're gonna be a hell of a leader, okay? So just keep this in mind. Number 4, I think, is the ability to stop, think, and pivot during stressful or dark times. I've seen that a lot of people, instead of going to the root cause and trying to figure out what would be the best way out, they just go with the flow, and that completely affects their inefficiency because they're working under fear, panic, stress, and these are not great to have as an environment when you're trying to provide solutions, okay? So I'm not perfect, but I like to think that I keep my head cool during darkest moments so I can provide the best optimal solution that is out there. It's not always gonna be perfect. I'm not perfect. but at least I take the luxury to think before I act, even if it feels like the world is ending, okay? Number 5 would be discipline. And this is a big one for me. It's extremely important for me to be disciplined and show this discipline and also ask for this discipline. So in other words, I do what I have to do when I have to do it, whether I like it or not. And this is the definition that I am having as a mantra in my head for discipline. And that's why I consider discipline to be a very, very important strength for someone to have. If you don't have it, you can train it. It's over there. You're not gonna like it. I don't even like it these days to be disciplined, but it saved my life so many times, and it's just proven that it's the best thing to have in your corner on a daily basis, okay? Now, last but not least would be planning before execution. I consider this to be a strength for me because I never head into the week without spending time for planning, reflecting, looking to the past, looking to the future, and see what we can learn from there. And this is an exercise that I cascade towards the managers working under my umbrella. So it's important to spend time with them to plan, because if I don't know where they're heading, then I don't know how I can help them, okay? So that's important. Now, these would be the strengths that I consider to make me stand out as a candidate as opposed to others around me. But now we go to weaknesses. As I mentioned, might not be seen as a weakness by the recruiter or your future boss, but you have a struggle with them. So it's good to admit that you consider these as a weakness. If we go to weaknesses, as I mentioned, might not be seen as a weakness by the recruiter or your future boss, but might not necessarily what I'm telling you be a weakness for me, but it can be a weakness in relationship with others. Sometimes perhaps I'm a bit more gentle and I empathize too much, and some people take that as an advantage to just stall or just procrastinate, okay? So that can be an example of a weakness, okay? Another weakness that I've seen, I might have a difficulty or a challenge in asking for help. So the stubbornness that I have sometimes to do things and fix them and solve them might work against me, but thank God, once you have 250 employees under your umbrella for which you're responsible, trust me, you will no longer have the luxury to want to solve everything by yourself. I consider another weakness that I don't speak fluently or a proficient level, a second international business language, but I already started working on that, and I hope it would be fixed in the next few years because these kind of skills take some time. And I consider to be kind of a weakness the fact that I can only partially function in a multitasking way, and this is because of the nature in which I am built, okay? So when I'm in a meeting and we're discussing a topic, I'm already visualizing and trying to come back with a solution, with an idea, with a guidance for the person that's dealing with that problem. So that's my multitasking. So you will never see me writing an email, looking at a P&L, and at the same time hearing about that meeting in which I'm participating, with just one ear, to say so, and also providing solutions. You're not gonna see me doing this, because I try to be as efficient as possible, so that 1 hour or 30 minutes meeting has to come out with a solution from my side, and that can be really, consuming and challenging. So I do not want to disperse my span of attention, focus, and creativity. So that's why I consider I have a limitation over here in terms of what others consider to be good in multitasking, okay? Another one would be radical candor with big egos, okay? I've learned to work with this. Not everybody has a stomach to take it. You have to be very careful with some leaders because they're really infatuated about their status, about their achievements, about their role. So you need to bring some diplomacy over here. And I like to think that I've corrected as much as possible this radical candor. And if discipline was one of my strengths and what makes me stand out, it can also be presented in some of the things that I consider to be a weakness in relationship with others, because I can't really expect the same level of discipline from everyone working around me or under me. But if you do want to work with me, you better make sure that you plan and stick to your deadlines. And sometimes that can create some pressure, quite a big pressure for people around and under me. So there you have it. These are just the strengths and what makes me, what I believe that makes me stand out in front of other candidates, and the weaknesses that I'm currently focusing on and have identified and thinking of correcting. And don't worry, once you correct them, you're going to find other weaknesses that you need to address. So it's a constant work in progress. Professional development never ends. But if you do get asked these kind of questions during an interview, now you have a real example of how you should address it and how you should avoid standard answers from Google searches or from ChatGPT or from books, even books, right? You have to be original, but in order to be original, you have to know your strengths and weaknesses, your competencies, and where you need to focus and work in order to take your game to the next level. Thank you so much for watching this video.